Hi everyone, this is Aaron and you are listening to Walnut Notes, the official podcast for the members and friends of FCBC Walnut. Today I will take you into our 11th grade Sunday school class with my co-teachers Jon Ng and Joyce Ho. I recorded a live exit interview with them on our second to last class of the 2018-2019 school year. We talk about preparing lessons, room for improvement, and give warnings as well as encouragement and exhortations to our students. Thanks for listening.
Our class is what I like to consider an open class, and that means people can come in whenever they want. And that's why Philip and Julie and sometimes other people have come in. I wanted to promote a culture where we can encourage other people to maybe see what we do in this class, and if they want to become a teacher, then we can work with them. And so that's why we've been kind of an open class. Also, I think our class is really good, so I want people to experience the greatness of 11th grade Sunday school. Joyce actually got started because I asked her to sub in, but I'll let you tell your story. What else am I supposed to say? I'm also supposed to say that, this is Joyce's first year teaching, so that's some context. This is Joyce's first year teaching. Jon, actually, this is your first year teaching after returning from a break, right? How long of a break was it?
Too long.
Year and a half, 2 years?
Year and a half or 2 years? Okay, so that's a year away from teaching is already a long time to be away from teaching it.
Oh, wait, I did teach last year.
Did you?
Last year.
No, I did not teach this class.
Right. So so you were teaching different lessons, and then coming back into this, I'm sure it was kind of. What else? Also behind the scenes stuff. We email each other every Monday. Every Monday, I try to email them kind of the plan, the agenda for what the upcoming weeks is, and then we share paragraphs. Because some people don't respond. I don't know why they don't respond, but some people don't respond.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Some people don't always watch the tapes.
Yeah, I didn't watch tapes.
Even though I want them to get better as teachers, but what can I say? All right, we have some questions here. We'll go Jon and then Joyce. Jon, what are your overall thoughts of teaching this year?
Let me grab my notes because
nice.
I
Thank you.
actually prepared.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
5 minutes.
We actually try in this class sometimes.
My overall thoughts. I used to teach this class like 4 years ago. Overall thought is that one, it's a little bit more personal the way things are set up. So that's Aaron's touch. In that it is more personal with prayer requests, because I didn't do that junk. I mean, it's not junk, but I didn't do that. And then I was also intrigued by how this year was going to go, because Joyce is new. And sometimes newer teachers say some really weird things, but they also kind of get scared. But I think Joyce jumped into it pretty well. So after the first 4 or 3 lessons, it wasn't really intriguing for me in that sense. Yeah. Because I like it when people screw up and they get really flustered. So that brings joy to my life.
So you wanted her to fail?
I didn't want her to fail. I mean, maybe momentarily a failure, but they learn from their failures. So ultimately, it's I'm looking for growth. But for me, it's fun to see people struggle in the sense of their growth and how they grow. Because when I had to start, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. But that was a long time ago. I just they slotted me in teaching Sunday school, so I was like, screw it, let's just teach Sunday school. And then I had to learn on my own. No one taught me how to teach. Joyce progressed actually pretty quickly. I think there's a natural ability to teach, which is why you didn't struggle as much as I
wanted me to.
Yeah. Those were my overall thoughts.
Those are very unique overall thoughts. Joyce, what are your overall thoughts?
My overall thoughts were, for me personally, it was very, very stressful in the beginning and at the end and in the middle.
That didn't even go in order.
It was really stressful, but it was also a really fun challenge to like be able to have so much like direct influence in the students' lives. And like, so as a counselor in Unicoi, I don't really like talk to the guys on Fridays. I kind of just like go to Unicoi and then I have my small group and I talk to my girls. So it's kind of cool to be able to interact with like the guys in Unicoi in this class. And yeah, I think even though it might not have seemed to John that I was failing and struggling, I think that like, yeah, it was like really challenging to be able to come up with a lesson and to like make sure it was good content and to be able to deliver it. But it was really cool to be able to like have this space to try it out and experiment with different ideas. And Jon and Aaron were also really good examples and very supportive of my teaching endeavor.
Supportive.
Yeah,
Even
yeah,
then, you're
yeah.
struggling.
John, what did preparation of your lessons look like?
A lot of it was taken from the years past, but if you really want to get a good visual, it's me drinking coffee at my desk at work with two monitors. One monitor had the Bible, the other monitor had all my teaching notes.
I like that.
And then that's kind of how it looked. I didn't really do much at home unless I had to. I think for the hermeneutics of eschatology, that one I had to do some at home. But yeah, generally I did it at work, which kind of worked out, kind of didn't. Sometimes I would get like really bogged down with work. I would just forget about it.
How many hours do you think you put in, just let's just say a typical lesson? So maybe not something hard like the eschatology, but just like a general Sunday lesson.
I want to say about like 3 to 5 hours.
That's good. Good job. Joyce, what did your lesson preparation look like?
Well, I would read a lot of articles online on the topics that I was teaching, and then kind of like get an idea of like what I wanted to say, and then create an outline and then go from there. And then I also read the books that you guys provided, so I got a lot of content from the books, and that was really helpful too. And then I would try and start like at least 2 weeks before the lesson, because I'm the type of person that feels like I'm never finished with anything. Like all my school assignments, I would like work until the very last moment before I turned it in, because I always feel like it could be better. So like for these lessons, I would start pretty early, but then always end like the night before. Sometimes at like 2 a.m. I'd still be like editing.
Wow. Dedication.
Yeah.
And were you doing it on the computer as well?
Yeah.
On your laptop, I guess?
Yeah.
At home?
Bed. Yeah.
On your bed? Okay. All right. And how many hours do you think that you put into each lesson, typical?
I think it ranges anywhere from like 8 to like maybe 12.
Okay, that's a good chunk, yeah. But you are a new teacher, right? And so for experienced teachers, you are able to, have background stuff, kind of know maybe a plan from previous lessons. I think it is also a good point that you brought up that like it's not like we went to school. I mean, John went to school, but it's not like me and Joyce went to school for this stuff. And so we're not making up the lessons from scratch. Most of the times we do have like books that we did, take from, and also like online stuff helped a lot too.
Also, I had Hanley's Sunday School notes
that
John provided for me.
Yes,
for the very beginning, so that's helpful.
I think it's good that like it's good for you to know that we're not just making it up and feeling it out as we go along. There was some sort of structure, even though you might not have felt it. There was structure. John, what do you think you did well this year? Just straight up, practically speaking. I don't know, maybe emotionally. I don't know if you.
My notes that are prepared for today, 5 minutes ago, it says, I have no idea.
Oh, come on.
I actually don't know. I mean, the way I taught 4 years ago for this class is the same way that I taught this year. I mean, it was a little bit different, just in how it was cut up. But I guess in terms of having the amount of work that I do at work, and then having to prepare for this class, like I have found a balance of that was good for me. Just to figure out what the balance was between work and Sunday school. So
no, that's important, man. I think that like if you did like err too far on like the Sunday school stuff, then your work would get neglected, and that's obviously not good for your life. But if you didn't have time to prepare, then we'd have to figure out how to improve on that. So work-life balance is especially important in like this Sunday school atmosphere, because it is only just 1 hour a week that we get with you guys, right? But it is in the back of our minds. Like, it's really important, this 1 hour that we have with you. Joyce, what do you think you did well this year?
I think continuing and like always having a lesson prepared, I guess, because like sometimes it felt like really last minute, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I have anything for the lesson, so just doing it and having a lesson prepared every time. Yeah,
good. And then, of course, what do you want to improve for next year, John?
I think I could be a little bit more personal. Maybe, I don't know. I didn't write this one down, but maybe not joke as much. But I think that's my personality, so I don't know. I don't know, whatever. And then remember names. So I'm thankful that this class never exceeded 20 people, because then I would have really struggled and not known anyone's names.
Next year's class.
I'm just gonna step out of teaching.
I do not know everyone's names in this room right now.
All right, put them on like that.
Really? Why would you do that?
We're a team here.
I feel like there's some backstabbing right now.
It's okay. He likes to see you struggle.
Yes, I think I do.
I don't think I got all your names until maybe like Christmas time. Right? It does take time. Yeah.
Go.
John, anything else? Anything else, John?
No, we're done, right?
Okay,
We're done, right?
Joyce?
Are we going to service now?
Joyce, what would you like to improve personally next year?
I think also for me, I'd like to improve in being more personal and like adding more personal stories and like not reading off my notes so much and just like speaking directly to the students. And then also, I guess like being more creative and trying out different ideas and not just like the same format every time.
Okay, so another behind the scenes thing is that when we email each other the schedule on purpose, we also sometimes give each other critique if we answer our emails. Sometimes we'll give each other critique. And
no problem.
Before, like, I didn't have any structure for like, how I want us to critique each other. But eventually, I think maybe it was like October or November, I said, okay, do one good thing, one thing to improve on, and then one encouragement for the teacher, right? I think constructive criticism, especially amongst your peers, is important. And so I guess what I'm trying to tell you guys is that like we do care to improve and to be better teachers. And I don't think it's just like a personal thing, like, I want to be a better teacher because I'm Aaron and because like it's my thing. But I think that God does have high standards for teachers. Morally, right, obviously, right, our lives need to be instructive, but I think also just in skill, right? We're called to excellence in our work and the things that we do. And so I think that as Sunday school teachers and people who are teaching God's word, in any capacity, it's important to strive for excellence. Not for perfection, obviously, right? But more so just to honor God, right? And to honor His word and to set an example for you guys. Like we did try and care a little bit to improve as teachers. I think that's the heart of a teacher. And so as you guys go and you do your work, I hope that it's not just like, you want to do well in school and do well at your job because of you personally, and that's you as a person, but I think because we're representing Christ, and He calls us to do good and excellent work. And then other people can see your good works and then glorify your Father in heaven. So that was kind of my mindset in terms of like, we do need to give each other critique, but also encourage each other along the way. John, what was your most memorable lesson? Either most challenging or your personal favorite, what was the most memorable one that you had?
I think the most memorable is my most challenging in the sense that, well, two of them. One was the eschatology part of hermeneutics as well as limited atonement. Reason why is because both of them are very difficult topics to cover in like one Sunday school lesson, especially for the Revelation. Limited atonement is, I would just say, the least, or no, it's the most argued point of the doctrines of grace. So having to nail those two down after not teaching it for like 4 years was fairly difficult.
Yeah.
So those are probably like the longer lessons that took me to, or those are the lessons that took me longer to prepare.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my most memorable one.
I did give you the harder lessons. So in our schedule, I looked at the topics and I was like, oh, that's a hard one, John. And so thank you, John, for taking all the hard ones. And to do eschatology or limited atonement in 1 or 2 weeks, that's actually a really, really short time. And so I do recognize the effort that you put into trying to cram the stuff in there. And for you guys, it is like introductory to these things. We didn't go like hardcore in depth, but we did try to take you as deep as we could in the time frame. Thanks, John. Joyce, most memorable or most challenging, something that sticks out to you for you personally?
I think I would just say like my first 2 lessons, which is unconditional election, because, well, I really like that topic because I didn't learn about it until I was in college. And so it was like a mind-blowing thing to me. So I was really excited to teach it because I think it's a really important thing to understand. Also, that was like the one that I stayed up till 2 a.m. doing. And in that one, I remember I used a diagram to explain justice versus grace, or like non-justice. And so after I used that diagram, one of the girls, I don't remember who, but one of the girls came up to me afterwards and said that, oh, like that makes so much sense. Like I understand it more now. And that was like my first moment of, oh, people are listening to me. And they understand what I'm saying. And it's like very rewarding to think that like they understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I did give you the U and tulip on purpose. I did do that on purpose
really?
because
Why?
I think, well, because I did the T, right? I did the total depravity. And I knew that, like, okay, Joyce is new. Like, I want her to get her feet wet, right? Like, I want you to start just kind of as soon as possible. And I think that was a good one because it wasn't like, the L is harder, right? The L is harder than the U, in my opinion. But the U is crucial in the sense where if you don't understand that, then it kind of does mess up the rest of Tulip, right? So even though I set up the T, the U was crucial to set up John and then to set up the rest of it too. And unconditional election is probably my personal favorite out of all of those. And so, yeah, I did give you that one on purpose. You did well on that. My most memorable for John, and not that it's like their best lessons, but I don't know if you guys remember how he did he put the plane right here, the Legos. That was pretty memorable. And then for Joyce, you actually tried to show a video. What was that video? The train conductor or something like that? What was the name of the video?
I don't know what the name of the video is.
What happened to
The conductor?
He died.
Oh.
That was implied, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well,
He got crushed by the train.
You just had us think about it. You didn't want to tell us what actually happened.
He died.
Oh.
So I don't think those were I don't want to say that I think those were your best lessons, but they were the most memorable because you guys actually like tried to do something creative and out of the box, and me, like, I'm just kind of like I'm just gonna like speak didactic teaching kind of style. Bringing Legos or watching a movie, that's not really my thing, but I do appreciate the creativity you guys bring to the table, right? I think that even with Jesus' examples, right, he didn't always just teach just by talking. And so I think that's where this plurality of teachers kind of helps out a little bit. Both of you guys are very instrumental in adding diversity to this class and making it fun and exciting, I think. What is one critical feedback or warning that you have for these students, John?
I didn't get this far into my prep.
So this will be real, raw.
When am I not real?
Good point.
That's right. wear my life on my sleeve. What was the question again?
One piece of critical feedback or warning for these students after observing them over the year, like what would you want to kind of give them a heads up on in the future? Maybe as students, or Sunday school stuff, church stuff, school stuff, habits that you see from them.
I think when it comes to Sunday school and for your futures, I understand that most students, if not all students, don't and will probably not remember anything that we ever taught in Sunday school. That's, I think, just the reality of it. A lot of us, as we get older, we totally forget about what we learned in Sunday school. If you ask me in high school what I learned, I have no idea. I was kind of on cruise control, but then again, I also hated the world too. Which is true. But I think for you guys, just remembering Sunday school is to remember your teachers' hearts. It isn't necessarily the lessons. I honestly don't expect you to remember all of the lessons. I do expect you to remember general ideas, but I think what leaves a more impressionable one, I think what leaves a better impression on your hearts is to remember the relationship between student and teacher, and see how, let's say Joyce struggled as a teacher to teach you, not because she wanted to teach, because I don't really think she wanted to teach in the beginning, but she struggled because she cares for you guys. Same thing with Aaron. Aaron's teaching is a little bit different, very different from mine, but through his teaching, which I would actually argue is preaching, so you guys have been getting 2 sermons per Sunday, his heart comes out for you guys, and he tries to make every Sunday school lesson relevant in terms of what's going on today, whether it's on the news or social media. He really brings that out. I don't bring that out. But, as you guys look at your teachers, whether it's this year, next year, or going forward in Sunday school, just know that a lot of us aren't paid, and we're doing this not because we have to, but we want to, because we actually care for you guys. And it's that relationship that I want you guys to remember maybe 20 years down the line, because I guarantee you, if I ask you what we taught on this year, you're not going to remember, and I'm not going to remember. So, but we will remember the relationship.
Yeah, that's good. Joyce.
That was a good answer.
One critical piece of feedback or a warning for these students after being with them for a year.
I guess one warning would be, so this class is very good, and it provides a lot of really solid, really kind of, I guess veering on complex theological information. So you're getting really good teaching from really solid people who are really good at providing you with a solid framework for your beliefs. But don't think that you know it all, I guess, and don't let that get to your head and make you think that because I know so much information, I'm good, I'm a mature, good Christian, because knowledge doesn't necessarily translate into a worshipful life. And also in comparison to your friends from other churches, they might not receive the same teaching that you do, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not as good Christians as you, or they're not as honoring to God as you are. So just take that information, learn from it, and use it in your life, but don't let it become a source of pride.
That's good. And John, one positive piece of encouragement for these students. This will be the last time you're addressing them, I think, in this capacity.
Something positive? I think I just did that.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But, I don't know. I think first, remember that this is the best class you'll ever have, with the best teachers. Second is, I think it is important to, well, for those of you who took notes.
Second to last class, man.
Yeah, man, I totally forgot your notebook.
Whatever your name is.
That's funny because he's my cousin too. I don't know. Not really. It's like a distant cousin. Anyway, look back at your notes, and it would be good for you to look back at your notes, because I know in college, whether we spoke on Q&A topics or even just doctrine, they will come up. Inevitably, it will come up. And so I think for you, whether we were talking about hermeneutics or struggling with, I don't know, dating or whatever, which I never spoke about because I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Or if it was suicide or tattoos, right? If you should get tattoos, look back on your notes and just see how true those things are for you at that moment. Because the things that we taught you, it's not going to be outdated in 20 years. Okay? It's not going to be outdated in 20 years because our source is the Bible. And the Bible has been relevant ever since God spoke the world into creation. And so try not to forget that.
Joyce.
What was the question? Encouragement?
If you read our emails, then yes, you would know the questions beforehand. One positive encouragement to these students.
Don't you love this, really, the dynamics of this? It's so savage.
One encouragement, I guess, it's a really good thing that you guys are here and attending Sunday school, because, when I was growing up in high school, I never had Sunday school. And a lot of churches don't have Sunday school like this, so it's a good thing that you're here, and thanks for coming and attending and paying attention and engaging. An encouragement would be to continue to ask questions and stay curious, and to take what you learned and then let that inform your next question. So continue to seek answers for your questions, continue to be curious and want to know more about what you're hearing. And you can question the things that we teach you too. Don't just take it and run with it, but really work through what we're giving you and challenge your next teachers in 12th grade.
Yeah, give them a hard time.
Give them a hard time.
Jesus is the ultimate teacher, right? He's not extreme. Okay, he's not extreme. He's just real and raw. And even though we have different teaching styles and approaches to teaching, I think I want you guys to model us in the same way that hopefully we model Christ. That when he was on the cross, I think that was the most extreme teaching moment that he did. It wasn't just words, right? But he actually lived it out, and he taught us on the cross about God's holiness, about God's love, about justice and mercy, and about who God is. And he did it by his actions. And so even though we have different methods of classroom teaching, for all of us and for all of you, our lives need to be teaching examples to everybody that we come across, to show them and to teach them who God is and who Jesus is, so that they can see him through us, right? Sometimes evangelism doesn't come in missions, in YSMP missions. It's how you live your life in your senior year of high school, and when you go to college, and the people that you meet, and then in your workplace, and then in your families. Worship is all the time. And so you, being young students, men and women, don't let anyone look down on you because you're young, but set an example for the believers in love and faith and purity. Let them see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven. let Jesus on the cross be our ultimate teaching example.
Thanks, Jon and Joyce, and thank you everyone for listening. Don't forget that you can get all of the episodes of Walnut Notes delivered via YouTube, Spotify, or your favorite podcast player. Just search for FCBC Walnut. For more information about our Sunday ministries, visit our church website at fcbcwalnut.org. And don't hesitate to stop by the church office or visit one of the welcome booths on Sundays. There are many opportunities to learn, grow, and serve at FCBC Walnut, so let us know how we can help you to get plugged in. I also want to encourage you to subscribe to Walnut Weekly, our social media email newsletter. We deliver fresh resources for free and provide peeks behind the scenes from the social media ministry of FCBC Walnut. Let our social media ministry serve you. Find the link in the show notes, but you can also find the link under the resources menu on our website at fcbcwalnut.org. Thanks. See you soon.